our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque. Please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
Good morning, viewers. You're welcome to the University Dialogue. And by the way, today is Good Friday. Viewers, happy Good Friday. I hope you were able to maximize the reason for which Jesus was crucified and then make a good use out of it. Have a sober reflection of it and then meditate on it, and then your profiting will come. Political parties are not just vehicle for winning elections, but critical institutions of democracy built on solid values, ideologies, and visions. As a critical democratic institution, a party must allow rules and laws to guide the power of struggles. Yes, because it is struggle. The position is one. Very many people want the position, so it's a struggle. On that process. When this is not done, anarchy becomes inevitable. Now, there's a popular, definition of democracy. Democracy is defined as government of the people, for the people, and by the people. That simply means that it's a broader participation, it's inclusiveness, it's fair, it's strata irrespective of your social strata and status. Everybody must be treated fairly. And when that is done, it has a ripple effect. It trickles down. You see fairness, you see the inclusiveness, the government becomes credible, people own the system, and at the long run, good governance is ensured. Viewers, today we'll be discussing a critical subject matter in our political process. And the topic for today is political process and internal democracy. To do this with me, I have in the studio some very eminent personalities who will discuss this thing with us. First, on my immediate left, just seated next to me, I have Ambassador SYLVESTER OKODUWA. He is the Zonal Coordinator South-South Transition Monitoring Group. Sir, you're welcome to the University Dialogue.
You are welcome, and the viewer, happy Good Friday. And
then on my far left, just immediately after him, I have Comrade AKWA ROMEO. He is the Public Relations Officer, Young Democratic Party. Sir, you're welcome to the University Dialogue.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you all viewers. Point of correction, this before we proceed. It's not the Young People's Party, it's Nigerian Youth Democratic Party, NYDP.
Okay, Nigerian Youth Democratic Party.
NYDP.
Thank you very much. And viewers, now the reason why we're here is because of you. I know today you're enjoying yourself, you're relaxed, your house, enjoying the Good Friday reflection on it. But as you do that, just pick up your phones, like that button, tap on the notification and join the conversation. Send your comments, comment and your views and usually I'll tell you, take the form of the presenter and put the question to them. You can also take the form of discussant and answer the question, but whichever way you're doing, make sure one thing is very important, that the comments are coming. I am Abiy Senmo. I am your anchor man for today in the University Dialogue. My name is Abiy Senmo. I want to start on this note. Sir, let me start with you, sir. Now, what is internal democracy all about in a political process? We know this is an issue that internal democracy has been talked about. But, for the purposes of our viewers and listeners, let's progress from there. What is it all about, internal democracy?
Okay, thank you very much. I want to commend NOA University for this innovative and this platform, which was created for state actors to reach the unreached. I also want to commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, P.R.O, for signing into law the new electoral bill, which has given hope for democracy, which has given hope for election transparency and credibility. You asked a question, what is internal democracy in political party? In my own definition here, internal democracy in political parties, also known as intra-party democracy, refer to the level and method of including party members in the decision-making and deliberation within the political party, within the political structure. So, if you can vividly look at the way our party are structured and the political process, you will agree with me that the party members who form the clause of the party structures at times are not allowed to make the form decision or to choose or to nominate who their candidate is. So it's always either few people are their view are being overlooked to others, or they select who they want to be their party candidate or aspirant. So in a nutshell, there is no holistic internal party democracy now as we practice. You can also agree with me that instead of going through the party constitution of either direct or indirect primary, they always prefer for consensus candidates, which at times few people just decided to say this is who will represent the party, who will be the candidate of the party. But the view of the majority are not carried along.
Yes, the view of the majority are not carried along, which means at that level there is no fairness, there's no inclusiveness. Everybody is not carried along. Some very few persons for selfish gain decided it. Brother, let me come to you. Let's just look at you. You're a member of a political party per se. So practically you would have experienced these things we're talking about, as a player. What does it really all about when they talk of internal democracy? Because it can never be overemphasized. At any given point in time, the positions are just one. House of Assembly in constituency is one. The governorship is one person. But the people who want to go are many. The interests are many. So there must be a mechanism to go about this thing to make sure everybody is treated fair. So what is it really all about to you, the player, as a politician?
Thank you very much. Internal democracy, as much as I understand, is the extent, the degree, and the magnitude to which political party allow for fairness and provide a level playing ground for every aspirant or actor who is interested in a particular office to participate and feel satisfied, irrespective of the outcome of the process at the end of the day. That I was okay that the process was fair and everybody participated. And one, that the majority members of the party, who are the card-carrying members, have their say. And it is only when they have their say that the process will be deemed democratic. Anything less is undemocratic and does not reflect democratic ideals or principles. Now, if we look at the experience of Nigeria, we all agree that there have not been internal democracy in the practice among the Nigerian political parties. And that reflects on the general election. We define democracy from the beginning as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So it begins from the party. The party is for the people, should be owned by the people, and be controlled by the people. The people should be able to say, this is who we want to represent us, to be this, to be that, and to do that. And if that opportunity is being denied the people at the political party, irrespective of whatever structure is on ground, then it is then undemocratic. And we cannot say definitively that there is general democracy in a political party.
The political process. Now, do you think it is an end in itself or a means to an end? So let me just put this question. Do you think internal democracy is, an end to itself or a means to an end?
Well, it's not an end. It's just a continuous process.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah, it's a learning process. And we graduate from this level we are now to a more responsive and inclusive level. Yeah, it's just about 2 years we have entered into this new marriage of democratic government. And I think with time we improve. But in a nutshell, the essence where there is no a truly eternal democracy is because of quest to power and money. Yeah, I want to put this Mr. A into this office so that he or she can be able to protect my interests. Yeah, that is just the essence. That is why you see people, the grassroots, they are not allowed to participate, make an informed decision. They are not allowed to make a say. The masses they have a say. They're supposed to have a say in the political process. They are stakeholders. They are major stakeholders. But you see that from the grassroots, they are really disenfranchised. They are not allowed to pass through that holistic process that will allow emergence of a truly acceptable candidate that will contest for election in the political party. So, in my own view, is that we're in the process. At long run, we'll be there, exactly. And we'll do it right.
Now, I as a player, I always, want from the view, is it a means to itself or a means to an end?
It's a means to an end, and not in itself. Because the end of it is to produce the purpose of each political or every political party is to have power, control governance. That is the end. And so internal democracy is only the beginning, a process leading to attain that objective.
It's a process leading to attain that objective. I'll come back to you. Let's join our correspondents who is standing by all the way from AKWA local government area. Ben Owaye, you're on. Please speak up.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Abiy Senibo. Thank you. I am Owaye Ben Utu, reporting from Ayama, Abua Central and Abua Odua local government area. This morning, we are to discuss on the issue electoral process and internal democracy. I am the Chief Orientation and Mobilization Officer of the agency in the area. To discuss the subject matter this morning is Engineer Henry Joseph. Engineer Henry Joseph has been on this show and is here once again to do justice to this subject matter. Engineer Henry, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, so we are in interesting times of elections, election period. So when we talk about electoral process, we're talking about an embodiment of rules and procedures that define how a society is politically organized. By clearly setting boundaries of interaction, eligibility, freedom of participants, and the role of state institutions in the electoral process. Then internal democracy, also known as intra-party democracy, it's talking about the level and method at which parties include their members in decision-making and deliberation processes. Now, it's at this stage that we talk about manifestos, party manifestos and the candidate manifestos. Now, internal democracy should be encouraged because this is where we breed credible candidates who have something to offer the society. So we urge all political platforms or parties to have stronger internal democracies so that they can present credible candidates that can move the society forward.
Thank you, Engineer Henry, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Over to you, Mr. B. Senebo, at the studios.
Thank you very much, Ben Owayi there for that beautiful report. Now, just before we join our correspondents, OKODUWA, government, we're talking, he said it's a means, to an end. It's not an end in itself. Before we join the correspondents, I want you to take it off from there, and then let's progress from there.
Yes, democracy, as earlier defined, is popularly known, not by you anyway. For me, I think that definition does not reflect the true meaning or import of democracy. Because what we practice today all over the world as democracy is actually representative democracy. If you look at the history of democracy among the city Greek states, we will be able to deduce how it started. Now by that import, every citizen is supposed to participate in the process of electing their leaders. But as society grew bigger, there was need for convenient, other emerging issues needed to be accommodated. And so today we hear practicing representative democracy.
That is made possible because population explosion.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Now, be that as it may, it is believed that even among the representative democracy, majority should always decide what will be, who succeed, or who becomes what among the actors that are interested in governance and in offices. Now, if this process, which starts from the political parties, is not ensured or guaranteed by politicians or by a party, it therefore means that democracy is not being practiced. It therefore means that democracy is not upheld. Therefore means that there is no democracy. And a party that does not practice internal democracy cannot give democratic governance to the people. Like he said earlier, that because of the quest for power, people do everything possible to get their way. They want to influence the process. They want to abuse the rules. And they devise so many other ways. And unfortunately, most often, the managers of the political parties, they fall to these antics of the politicians, of these actors, these desperate power seekers. But they have a responsibility and a duty to ensure that the party has a political process, an electoral process that guarantees democracy. Democracy is all about fairness. It's all about equity. It's all about justice. Playing by the rules and allowing the people to decide who should be their leader. And if that process is not guaranteed, then you are denying the people democracy. You are denying the people the representation they deserve. And eventually, the country will not benefit, because that is what one of the problems Nigeria is facing today. Because the party don't provide for internal democracy, and therefore cannot present credible candidate for general election. And whereby parties cannot present credible candidate for general election, the leadership in governance will have issues, will have challenges. You have incompetent leaders emerging as leaders.
Now, when you were talking, something just come up. This is biblical, but I want to liken it to our situation here. Now, the Bible categorically says that in Psalm 11 and verse 3 said, if the foundation be destroyed, what will the righteous do? Now, you see, that democracy here can be likened to the foundation.
Exactly, you are very correct.
You understand? Can be likened to the foundation. So I want you to look at it now from that point of view and make some, let's take it from there. What will a destroyed foundation eventually give him back to, sir? What will a foundation that has already been destroyed? What possible, child or what possible system or structure would it give birth to? As we just round up this one and then we take it from there.
Okay, if a foundation is destroyed, even though you make an effort to put another foundation, it will not be like the original. But that foundation is destroyed, you can mend it. So the essence of this conversation is to identify the challenges, what are the constraints, why we are not getting it right.
We'll come to that now. Okay. We'll come to that. Okay. Let me take you on. Now, does the lack of democracy have any relationship with protecting the political and socioeconomic interests of the perpetrators?
Sure.
Such as guaranteeing social security, godfatherism, ethnic and tribal hegemony. If yes, throw more light. And if no, how?
Of course, the desperation, the lack of internal democracy serves the interest of the few instead of the majority. Because these few have vested interest. And definitely this interest is not the interest of the general populace.
They be like the political businessmen.
You said it all. You said it all. Now, in a democracy, the democratic process, the interest, the overall interest, the paramount interest is the interest of the people. And if you have the interest of the people, you should be able to sell yourself to the people.
Let's just pause it there. In democracy, the overall interest is the interest of the people who are coming back. But, let's just quickly join our correspondents who's on standby from Andoni local government area. Samuel Ashibad, you're on. Please take it off from there.
NOA River State Dialogue. This is Mr. Samuel Ashibad, Community Orientation and Mobilization Officer, Andoni LGA. Our topic today is the electoral process and internal democracy. Internal democracy being that political parties choose among their members who will bear their flag in the general election. When the members of the party are involved in this choice, we say there is internal democracy. I have Olakaye Efet Baja to talk more on this topic.
Here I'm Olakaye Efet Baja from Andoni local government. As the presenter rightly said, electoral process and internal democracy. Electoral process is just a system of rules that guide the conduct of election and referendum, whereby results are mentioned. Then internal democracy, as per se, I would say democracy, according to Abraham Lincoln, defined democracy as the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. In this regard, party system decided to practice internal democracy, which is a way in which party involve members in decision making in selecting their representative. It is assumed if this is practiced holistically, it shows that electoral process in Nigeria will not be questionable. So I need to say, internal democracy in Nigeria is not well practiced because so much of clash of interest in various party systems.
Mr. Abie Senebo, over to you. Samuel Ashibad reporting from Andoni. Thank you.
Samuel Ashibad, a very wonderful report there. You're welcome. Sir, That was a good one. Like before, I said these perpetrators, do they have interest, vested interest? You know, looking at the underlying factors like godfatherism, ethnicity, and hegemony, tribal sentiments, and all of that. So you are on before we join our correspondent.
Yes, they have a lot of vested interest. Now, first of all, let's look at the foundation of the political party in Nigeria. It will enlighten us more on the perspective we are going right now. All over the world, especially in the developed countries, parties are formed on the basis of ideology and philosophy. It becomes the guiding principles of every actor who identifies with a particular political party. Here in Nigeria, can we say that is the case? Even if we go back to the First Republic, in the post-independence, you look at the three dominant political parties, the NPC, the NCNC, and the AG. They were founded on the basis of ethnicity and religion, ethno-religion. The AG dominating the southwest, the NPC the north, and then the NCNC, the eastern region, as it were, those days. Now, when this becomes a dominant factor or foundation upon which a party is built or founded, there is a tendency that party will not practice democracy, because the best and the wish of the people will not have their way. The foundation is faulty, is built on sentiment, is built on ethnic background, is built on religious background. And so, those who build the party will do everything to ensure they have their way. They become the godfathers. They become those who decide who takes who and who takes what, who becomes what. And so by so doing, they subvert the will of the people. Now, parties that are founded on national ideology, on the principles of democracy, will not look at ethnicity, will not look at religion, will not look at tribe, will not accommodate even godfatherism. Now, these godfathers, who because of their religious, ethno background, powers, feel they own this political party, believe that it is their right to determine what happens, who becomes what within the political party. They feel they own the structure, they own the people, they own even the will of the people. And so they should be able to determine who gets what. That is not supposed to be. So that is because the foundation, as mentioned earlier, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? As he said from the beginning, there's room for innovation.
Yes. Let me, I want to give you the opportunity to add to this, because you see, this is the cross where, the interest, there's something, a driving force. Why these people will not allow internal democracy to thrive? Why they will not allow fairness? Why the principles of equity, justice will not come? So I want you to add to what he has said.
The history of our political quest. Yeah. You will see that totally you cannot expunge interest from political party. You that is joining a political party is because of interest. But as I said earlier, the major aim where you see that there is no eternal democracy is because the graduates, the political father, godfatherism, the party stewards, who are the major decision maker, are trying to ensure that they impose a candidate or aspirant against the will of the people, just for the benefit of power and money. But we cannot entirely rule out that there has never been eternal democracy. I remember during the time of our former military head of state, Babangida, he introduced two political parties, and there was option A4 system that was introduced. That system helps people from the grassroots to make an informed decision to the state level, and so on and so forth. And it was a good system, though it was during the military regime. And during that period, the two candidates that contested for that election were late Abiola and Ibrahim Tufa. They were Muslim. But people did not consider ethnicity. People did not consider if they are Muslim, but people voted for him because of the system. So today, what do we have? That is quite different. It's a different scenario. People want who will be there, that after they are gone, that person will continue to protect their interests, continue to protect their businesses, continue to ensure that dominance, political dominance, is being sustained. That is the major reason.
I think you remind me, that was one election that was just the freest, the fairest election, where for the first time in Nigeria, ethnicity, religion, tribe was not considered. In fact, the vote was crisscrossing along regions and ethnic lines. We'll come back, to this double. But before we come back, let's the phone lines are buzzing, the messages have come in. Let us also, carry along our viewers who are there, with us. This is from Bridget Idemio. Now, it requires adequate planning and successful execution of useful ideas as the way forward. Thank you, Bridget Idemio, for your thoughts here. Edwin Ijoma is, streaming live with us all the way from Owabemandoni. Edwin Ijoma, thank you very much for streaming live with us. We appreciate. This is also from Bridget. All parties involved should work together and implement meaningful decisions that will usher in development. Yeah, it's a teamwork. That's so. Thank you, Bridget, for your thoughts there. Thank you. This is another one from Bridget. Goals and objectives set should be geared towards achieving success and improving on the past. Thank you for your share. Charles William, you're still live with us. Oh, God bless you, sir. God bless you. Samuel Ashiba, thank you. You're still live with us. This is from Peter. Nigeria must see to it that democracy and good governance are strictly adhered at all tiers of government. It is high time our political leaders should be prosecuted for failure of campaign promises. Failure of campaign promises after election on such promises. Thank you, Kabir, for your thought there. That's a wonderful one. Thank you, very formal you are watching live with us. God bless you. God bless you. Samuel Ashiba, God bless you. Charles William Obala. The government should focus on building institutions that will strengthen electoral process and democracy in Nigeria. That's a wonderful one. When institutions are very strong, there is nothing hardly any individual person can do. But unfortunately, in this country, we have stronger individuals and we have good institutions. Thank you for your thoughts there, William. But the external, you have asked a personal question, my sister. If the Dana Antonio Zoroke, you are here live with us, Patricia, yes, anymore. God bless you. You are streaming live with us. The lack of proper electoral process and internal democracy has caused democratic decline, caused by the state-led, weakening of political institutions that sustain the democratic system, such as the peace, such as the peaceful transition of power or free and fair election. That is very true. Peter Ekabe, thank you, dear. Thank you. You're streaming live with us. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Linda Waliso, God bless you for streaming live with us. This is another one from Peter Ekabe. Democracy is not found within party. All the powers are concentrated in party, high command, and other important leaders. It is a challenge because many people in the political party just want just want national development. Just want national development. Thank you for your talk there. Thank you for your talk. Tiger, oh, it's good to know that you're showing like us. God bless you. Thank you very much. So this one again is from Charles William. Political parties campaign should be issue-based to provide dividend of democracy and not to attack personalities. So wonderful talk there. This is wonderful talk there. Why cannot command? Absence of internal democracy defeats, defeats political party growth and can lead to the campaign from party which may metamorphose into crisis. Deflation here and there. All of them have their roots in that democracy. Now, at this point, we will have to join our correspondents who is on standby waiting for us all the way from the local government area. Irene, you're on. Please take it up. Wow.
Thank you, Abia Senibo, for having me in the show this morning. I'm standing at County Grammar School in Kwereche, in Eche local government area. And standing with me here is Comrade Martins Waf, a civil servant in Eche local government area. Mr. Martins Waf, you're welcome in this show. Our topic this morning says electoral process and internal democracy. What is your opinion, your contribution concerning this topic?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Electoral process in Nigeria actually is working because it is an activity or process that ushers in the political parties into a general election, and it has always been the responsibility of the INEC, and they have been doing that, and the political parties are following suit. But where we have problem is the internal democracy. The internal democracy is not working in Nigeria. Internal democracy, if you look at the political parties in Nigeria, you will see that there are crises among the political parties because of lack of internal democracy, where some persons' rights are being denied and people's opinions are not being counted, and so on and so forth, and all these things. I mean, if we did not get it right at the party level, it is also difficult for us to get it right at the general election. So,
thank you, Comrade Martins Waf, for your contribution. We have all heard it, that the electoral process is working in Nigeria and the internal democracy is not working in Nigeria. Thank you, Abia Senibo. This is our contribution from Eche local government area.
It's up to you, Irene. This is a wonderful report from you. Quickly, I want to take on you, sir. Now, internal democracy is very crucial. It's a very crucial indices for measuring free, fair, and credible and peaceful election process. Yes, it seems very difficult for political parties to freely adopt internal democracy and other rules of the game. What, apart from this issue that you have raised, what do you think will be possible? Is it too difficult? Why can it, knowing the importance of it, that if this thing is gotten right, in fact, the political process could be seen to be gotten right, but yet they seem not to get it.
Yes, besides the issue of godfatherism, ethnicity, religion, and others, is also the issue of the lucrative nature of political offices in Nigeria. Now, mostly the short way to making money, becoming rich, the luxury of political offices, especially as is being demonstrated by the current crop of politicians we see, where, let's take for example, a commissioner who is even appointed in the first instance, ride on the streets or on our roads, the convoy of security men comprised of the military, the police, the civil defense, the justice, and the rest of them. And then they impede, infringe on the rights of the ordinary man. They act with impunity, get away with it. There are no consequences for wrong or right actions.
Sir, now you just said, let's maximize our little time we have for political gains. political offices are just too attractive.
Very attractive.
Attractive, you know. In fact, I hear in the whole of the world, Nigerian politics are one of the highest paid in the whole world.
That's true.
Compared to today, you know, that's a very strong factor. And let's try to maximize. But now I want to take you on a very different topic now.
Okay.
Now, despite the provision, there are provisions made in the Constitution. That's the ground norm of the country. Section 221 to 229, specifically Section 227 to 228 on intra-party democracy. That is specified for intra-party democracy, political parties. Still, there is lack of internal democracy. What would you say is, responsible for the flagrant disobedience of this law, even when this law are in
that is a very good question. But if we state that there is no internal democracy, we may not be right. It all depends the type of primaries adopted by political party. Yeah. Parties that
sorry, now we're talking about.
I'm coming.
So that you can
I know
answer them all.
Yes.
See, we have consensus. We have
direct.
But we are talking about fairness, where people will be
I'm
satisfied.
coming. It depends the type of primary you have adopted.
Yeah.
Everything, the system cannot be totally perfect. Yes, there may be some challenges, some lapses, and so on and so forth. But there are guidelines. There are electoral guidelines that help to monitor the system to ensure that internal party democracy is being followed. It's just like the recent electoral bill that was passed. Section 29 subsection 1 stated that parties must conduct primary, either direct, indirect,
or by consensus,
and submit their list of candidates at least 180 days before the general elections. You see, some people may like to say, let me violate this session, let me violate this provision. What will happen? But on the long run, this will be invoked. So these are some of the metrics, these are some of the policy guidelines that are giving us that hope that this time we have a better, we have a improved, we have a more inclusive internal party democracy. But, as I said earlier, gradually, things are changing.
Yes.
Gradually, we just have electronic transmission of results. It's an improvement. So it's just like last week somebody said, I don't have a son, I don't have a grandson that will succeed me. These are statements that are not necessary. They are not necessary. So that one is the implication of that is that you don't allow space. You will not like people to come into the scene to participate. But I want to assure you that with the system things are good, people must demand. The party's member must demand. The party member must participate. The party member must say, this is what we want. This is what we need. This is what we need, not what you want. Yeah, you may want somebody to be there, but the people say, no, this is what we need. It happened. This will help us to have more enhanced, more robust, and more effective democratic governance in the country.
Is there a correlation between lack of internal democracy and violence in our political process? Is there a relation?
There is. There is. Because when there is no internal democracy and there's desperation on the side of the actors to have their way by all means, you are bound to push some people to the extreme. And when people are being pushed to the wall, they are going to fight back. And even the actors who are in their desperation want to have their way by all means, to employ violence as a means to achieve their aim, their objective. So there's a strong correlation between the lack of internal democracy and violence. One, when you deny the people their will, there's a tendency the people will revolt against the authority, the management of the political parties. That is number one. On the other hand, the actors who are desperate would employ criminal elements to subject the will of the people in order for them to have their way. So these people
very soon now we begin to see proliferation of pre-election litigations. So is there a relationship between the lack of internal democracy and proliferations of pre-election litigation. In fact, it leads to abuse of court processes. This judge is giving one order, another judge is giving one order. Is there a relationship?
Yes, there's absolute relationship. That is why you see after the primaries, you see there are issues, litigation in the courts. This one will say I'm the authentic candidate. This one will say I'm not the authentic candidate until the court decide. So what we are trying to say is that let the political party do the needful. Let the political party follow the rules of the game. Let the political party follow the established process and allow stakeholders to come in. The law stipulates that if you want to conduct primary, admin should be involved, civil society should be involved. But if you want all the primary that have been conducted, these essential stakeholders are not participating, are not there. So if you are trying to have your way, I want to assure you that people will checkmate you. And that ignites violence, that ignites conflict. So it's better we play to the rules of the game and allow an acceptable, a credible candidate to emerge who can be able to govern the people to the satisfaction of the electorate.
Now, what can be done to instill fairness, internal democracy, and justice? But before you take that question, quickly, let me just take some comments. We'll come to that. From Enoch Igorobia, it's pathetic that consensus as model to choose a party candidate into reviewed Nigerian constitution in such an instance, it's been difficult to practice internal democracy in our country. I hope what you mean is that consensus has been chosen over internal democracy because we hear it more often. Thank you very much, Nkorobia, for your thoughts. There are arguments that political parties should maintain internal democracy so as to provide a level playing ground for all elected positions to test the popularity of each aspiring candidate rather than adoption of consensus candidate. Thank you very much. Thank you very yes. Although we know that option is also allowed, but people should test their popularity so that people can be satisfied. That is the thing. Inclusiveness. Thank you for streaming live with us. God bless you. You're streaming live with us. Cynthia Feinba, you're streaming live with us. God bless you. This is from State Director Young Ayatamno. The ultimate goal of democracy is to ensure that the choice of leadership and attendant governance reflect the will of the majority. That is the word, majority. Currently, several methods are being deployed for choice of, the privilege, cabal. What are the implications of these various strategies for leadership recruitment and development for the country? That's a big question. Now, yes, options are there, but these options we take, what are the implications on the long run? Where they say consensus is also there, and then they hide under consensus and they begin to, force candidate on people. What are the implications? One word, just one sentence.
Okay. Yes. If I didn't say this, my being here may not be complete. I want to advise, especially specific River State. There is a chess game among the two political parties. Till now, nobody knows who is a candidate, who is not a candidate. And we are also told that they have bought all the expression of interest. Somebody have bought all. Who will now say, it is you that will go, it is you that will go, it is you that will not go. This is not democratic. It's not. It's undemocratic. They should allow everybody, those who are qualified, who are willing, who are interested, to participate and represent the people, to come on board and participate in a democratic process. So try to staffing the people, try to regulate the people, try to pick or handpick or say this is our consensus candidate. At times, do not really represent the will of the electors of the political party carriers.
Now, one more, the implication of the method we choose.
Poor leadership. At the end, you have incompetent leaders. The society suffers
leadership.
And selfish.
Yeah, I'm still coming. Christian Naoma, thank you for feeling like Alama Brown. It's good to know that you're there. You're watching us. Father, together. Party politics in Nigeria has been reduced to a sort of media operation where the will of an powerful clique is imposed on the collective, in the guise of party supremacy, collective will of the people in the guise of party. Oh, thank you very, very much. If internal democracy is not maintained at the party structure level and adopt a consensus candidate, it might lead to grievances and other candidates, and the resultant effect is mass deflection. That is already what we are seeing. Mass deflection to other political parties. Thank God you're streaming live with us. Shumapara, it's good to know you're there. Sobima Salalebo, please, this is not for this platform. Thanks for understanding. As a Mary Akwate, good to know that you're streaming live with us. Chuks Madu, you're streaming live with us. Let me come back to you, sir. What are we going to do to achieve fairness, to keep the rules of the game, inclusiveness, internal democracy, so that ultimately we can have good governance?
To take the collective will of every Nigerian to have us practice democracy from the party level to the general election, and it will take strengthening the institution, including the political party itself. First, the party managers must be men of integrity, men of credibility. Now, when you have the chairman and the members of his National Executive Council who are men of integrity and credibility, first of all, they will ensure that there is a level playing ground for every aspirant. And by so doing, internal democracy is ensued. Now, the Constitution also will have to be strengthened or amended to ensure that when parties violate the provisions, any provision of the Constitution, they should be held accountable. Now, we look at the recently passed electoral amendment bill. The contention, that act has been rejected about 4 or 5 times before it was eventually assented to in February 27 by the President. Now, the contention was Section 80, Subsection 12, which by the National Assembly wisdom stipulated then that all parties primary must be direct primary. Now, the wisdom behind this was to ensure that there is democracy to an extent, a greater participation by the members of a particular political party. But what happened? People who have vested interest felt threatened by that provision, and the President was pressured not to assent to the bill until that provision was either removed or amended. Now, even when it was amended, they slot in indirect primary, no problem. But the worst of it all is consensus. Now, because the consensus is clause for consensus is going to serve very few interests. And they are the ones who control the party. So they sit themselves in the right table as we are sitting, and they decide, we want this man to go. And they impose that will on every other person. Because the Constitution is backing what they are doing. The judiciary also have a role to play. Now, when certain actors violate the provisions of either the Constitution of the Federal Republic or even the party constitution itself, or the Electoral Act, and the issues, the litigations comes up in court, does the judiciary, the judges, are they independent enough? Do they have the credibility, the character to look at the issue at stake and say this is right and this is wrong? Or do they behind the court, the stage, collect brand envelopes? And then, of course, we look at the case of Imo State. Never in the history of our country where a candidate who came forth in the election will overnight, by the ruling of the Supreme Court, become the elected governor of the state. The system is subverted. And so the judiciary also have a role here to play. Some persons are advocating for special courts to try election litigations. Matters. Probably that will help. I don't know. But in a nutshell, our institution, the security, the judiciary, the constitution, and the political party themselves have to be strengthened and become strong institutions so that no single individual or a group of individuals will be able to impose their will on them and have their way.
Thank you very much. Sir, what's your parting shot? I will know a parting shot, your last words to viewers.
Okay.
With respect to this, take over.
Yeah, what I discovered is that
no, just a parting shot,
just a last people should know why they should be a political party. Ideology, manifestation, and so on. So many people they claim to be a party member without even knowing why they are party members.
Yeah, people should know why they are formed and entering party.
Yes,
is it based on ideology? Is the party manifesto attracting them? Or what are they doing?
Or because Mr. A is here, let me be a member.
Yeah.
If you are ignorance is also play a very big role. Yeah, people should know why they are a member of political party. From there, you can be able to demand for your right.
Yeah, because what you don't know, you can't demand. Exactly. So, what's your take? Your last word for the viewers.
My last word for the viewers is those of you who are political party members. You have the right. You have the power and the right to decide who represents you in any political office. Do not give in and do not compromise that right that you have. In the long run, we are going to achieve a free and fair democratic process among our political parties. Thank you.
Viewers, this is where we draw the curtain for today in the River State Dialogue. But before we finally round it, I want to sincerely, on behalf of the agency, appreciate from the depth of our heart our discussants here that is here with us. I want to thank you, Comrade AKWA ROMEO. Thank you very much for your insightful contribution. Ambassador Sylvester OKODUWA, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And I know that you will still oblige us. Anytime we call, I know you'll be there for us.
To be a pleasure.
Yes, you are the one that made this thing possible. Because this whole thing we're doing here is because you're there. That's why we did it. And today you have proved it once again as you stream live. Because I want to appreciate every of your thoughts, every of your comments. However, there are those that will not take your comments, your thoughts, not because we're segregating. Please forgive us. It's for want of time, it's time bound. There's nothing we could do. But I'm assuring you, this conversation continues on the social media. Just go like and share. Continue the conversation on social media until we come your way again next week, same time. My name is P.R.O. Senmo. I am your anchor man for today. I just want to leave this parting shot with you. You've heard. It said, know why you are belonging to a political party. Is it the ideology of the party? Is it the framework upon which that party is seated on? You have to join with the point of view from, knowledge. Don't be ignorant, because ignorance of the law is not an excuse until we come your way again. Same time next week. Stay safe. Goodbye.